Hello, and we're with you with episode 50 of the Clappercast. I'm Burke,
And I'm Sean.
and last week we dove into the Atlantic MVPs of the 2019-2020 NHL season, and this week we're going to go ahead and cover the Metro Division MVPs. So, Sean, do you want to start with Carolina?
Yeah, let's go right in alphabetically here. We'll start with Carolina. So, who do you have? Who do you think their MVP of this past season has been?
Well, I know I want to say David Ayers.
Oh, you took
Um,
the words right out of my mouth.
but I'm going to go ahead and say Sebastian Aho.
Okay.
Played a little easy and a little boring with that pick, but I'll explain why. So he played all 68 games for them. He had 38 goals, 28 assists, 66 points. He was a plus 10. He had 17 power play points, four shorthanded goals, and a shooting percentage of 18.5%.
Is that
Last,
sustainable?
um, I don't think so. Last year he was at 12.3, so um, that's a pretty big jump. Um,
Definitely is.
this season he got 10 more goals than assists, and last year he got 30 goals in 82 games and 53 assists. So,
It's a bit of a swap there for that difference in goals and assists to flip like that in 1 year.
yeah, definitely. So more goals in 68 games than last year in 82. Um, I don't know if he's being used differently or if he's just shooting, but it seems like um, his shooting percentage went way up. So maybe he's just everything's going in. Um, I don't know. I picked him because, 22 years old. He's leading the team in points. He's a point per game plus player, kind of emerging into that star for that franchise.
Yeah. No, he's totally the offensive force. Like he's going to be a very good player for years to come, and what he's doing already at 22 is going to be pretty impressive once he hits kind of his peak in his mid to late 20s for this Hurricanes team.
Absolutely. Did you have any other picks or honorable mentions for the Hurricanes?
I actually did. I was struggling between Aho and Dougie Hamilton, but I ended up leaning towards Dougie Hamilton, even though he missed the last like 20-ish games of the season because of how good he was all around for that Hurricanes team this season. That he before he was injury, he was pretty much a Norris candidate. He was right up there with John Carlson. He had 40 points in 47 games. That's near he was going to be setting career highs this season easily. Three of his 14 goals were game winners as well, which is pretty impressive from a defenseman in my
Hmm.
opinion. And he was second on the team in time on ice per game, very close with Jacob Slavin. He was at 23-17, and he had extremely high possession numbers. That he was up in like the high 50% range in both Corsi and
Wow.
Fenwick, which was tops on the team, I believe, as well, or second to Teravainen in Corsi and top in Fenwick. And looking at point shares as well and how many points that it's estimated he contributed, he was tied with Aho for the lead in that. So his
He's pretty
play all
impressive as a D
around,
man.
totally, and splitting that his 8.6 point share up into offensive and defensive are pretty even, like 4.0 in offensive point share, 4.6 defensive. So he's kind of contributing on all sides of the ice. So just how strong he had been through the year, I kind of lean towards Hamilton as the Hurricanes MVP this season.
He's definitely a workhorse for them.
Yeah. One last little thing I looked into just to find out is that before Hamilton got injured, the Hurricanes were 27-18-2 for a 660 points percentage. After he got injured, they were 11-7-3 for a 595 points percentage. So that's a pretty significant
That's
drop
quite a drop.
from like a solid playoff team to 595 is kind of like just hovering in the playoffs barely.
Hmm. So yeah, that's definitely speaks to how important he was to them. I don't have
Yeah,
any other
totally.
honorable mentions for the Canes. I mean, Hamilton was my pick, but I just dropped him because of some of the time he missed.
Totally. Yeah, that was the struggle. Is like he did miss what ended up being almost a third of the season.
But he should be back for playoffs.
Yes, and that's going to be huge.
Yeah, that's gonna be could be like almost like a black ace because he's missed so much time and they're they were doing so much better with him in the lineup that if he was in the lineup the whole year, they might have finished stronger, right? And
Definitely.
placed differently in playoffs.
Yeah, they would have been probably closer to competing with Pittsburgh and Philadelphia
Hmm
off of that points percentage.
hmm Maybe let's move on here to Columbus Blue Jackets. Who was your pick?
The Columbus Blue Jackets. So the thing with the Blue Jackets, like it's hard for me to find one specific player because they're such a by committee team. Like everyone kind of buys in, everyone kind of does their contributions to the
lineup, so it's hard to find a single one who stood out significantly. I ended up leaning towards Seth Jones because of his insanely elite level, reliable defensive presence and how much he does both sides of the puck. He's really quietly blossomed into one of the best defensemen in the league and easily the stalwart of their defensive corps. And I think a player like that just ends up being the MVP by default, just
hmm
by what he contributes day in, day out to the team.
Yeah, I actually wrote down Seth Jones as one of my options here. Um, Led the team in ice time by a pretty significant margin. Um, he had like 25 plus minutes on average per game played, so he's almost playing like a third of or a half of each game.
Yeah,
Um, 6 goals, 24 assists, 30 points, plus 10, 9 power play points, 123 blocks, 62 hits. He had a massive drop in giveaways this year too. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I think it just shows, becoming a more mature defenseman, making better decisions, not throwing the puck away
yeah.
needlessly. Um,
His giveaways went down from 69 to 37.
yeah, so pretty big drop. Um, him and Werenski are, one of the solid top three D pairings in the league, if not the
Easily.
top one. Um,
Easily. Yeah, that's kind of a big development of the year for them is that those two combined have become such a top level defensive pairing.
mhm. I got shout outs here to Pierre-Luc Dubois and Oliver Bjorkstrand for stepping up offensively. Um, BLD had 49 points in 70 games, and Bjorkstrand had 36 points in 49 games, including 21 goals. So a bit of a breakout for him, goal scoring wise. But Seth Jones wasn't actually my pick. I picked Elvis Merzlikins. Um, so 33 games played, a 9.23 save percentage, and a 2.35 goals against average. 5 shutouts. Um, Top 10 goals saved above average with 12.1. He was fifth in save percentage in the league and fifth in goals against average. So,
I think that's
with
fair. I mean, his hot stretch there where he had like all those shutouts in 10 games, like that was just an amazing stretch and I mean, his performance kind of propelled the Blue Jackets back up into the playoff spot where they ended at the end of the season.
yeah, I think without him stepping up, they wouldn't be where they are at, um, even in contention for playoffs. 13 wins, 9 losses, and 8 tied slash overtime, which is the highest in the league. So, he played in a lot of close games that went to overtime or a shootout and ended up losing. So, even though he didn't get as many wins, he still ended up getting a point for the team. Um, so definitely an impressive run. Earned himself a nice contract. So hopefully he can keep it up going into playoffs. They're going to have to decide between him and Corpus Salo. So
Well, I mean, they
yeah.
can honestly just like you get a game if you suck, it's going to the other guy the next game.
Yep, pretty
They can just
much.
roll one of those like if you lose you're out.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Um, Anything else to add for CBJ?
Nope, that Merzlikins was my honorable mention pick that I just didn't quite think he had played enough games or was good for long enough, but I think his performance was definitely noteworthy.
Mhm. So New Jersey, um, just to bounce off Merzlikins, he's maybe in some Calder talk. My pick should be in the Calder talk again. Unfortunately, that conversation is going to be dominated by the defensemen that are kind of having their amazing years, McCarr and Hughes. But my pick for New Jersey is Mackenzie Blackwood.
And honestly,
Um,
I don't think there is a single other player on that team worthy of being in that discussion.
yeah, and I figured you would pick him as well after, the conversations we've had all season long about, what their record looked like without him in the lineup.
Absolutely.
Ended up being um, 6, 15, and 4 without him in the lineup, and 22, 14, and 8 with him.
Which it's like that's
So,
just a complete like I can't even comprehend how much different the team performed with him in the net. When you look at like his record
yeah,
being 22, 14, and 8, but the team's record was 28, 29, and 12. Like just how many of the good games the team had were contributed or propelled by Blackwood.
yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. Got some more stats here. So he was eighth in the league in shots against, so as in the most shots against. Seventh in the league in total saves. He had a 915 save percentage and a 2.77 goals against average and 3 shutouts. Um, not super impressive, but you have to remember the team that's in front of him.
Totally. And
Um,
in comparison to the other goalies on the team, like the other two who played any reasonable amount of games, being Corey Schneider and Louis Domingue, both had save percentages in the 880s and goals against average 353, 379,
yep.
and Blackwood's 915 and 277. Like that's noticeably different and quite significant.
Yeah, and this is a guy who was 22 at the beginning of the season. Um, had only, I think was this his first full season or his first season at all?
He's
Um,
been kicking around for a couple years, I
yeah,
think.
played
So last
23
last year,
games
yeah,
in last season.
yeah,
So this is his first full season. You got thrust into that starter job really early because Schneider left game one opening night with cramps. So Blackwood basically took the reins and never let go. That's a tough spot to be in, especially on a team that sucks.
and on a team that sucks, he Mackenzie Blackwood was second in the league in high danger save percentage as well. So the New Jersey Devils, they gave up quite a few high danger scoring chances, and Blackwood was second in the league in high danger save percentage at 870. He's behind only Tuukka Rask.
Yeah, that's insane. In his last 11 games, he went 8-1-2 with a 941 save percentage. And in the month of February, he had 7 starts and he had a 961 save percentage, which was first in the NHL. It's insane considering
Yeah,
the
it
team
just like imagine
and like
if they had got even average performances out of their other goalies. Like they would actually have
exactly. And
been
this is a
a
team that
playoff team
shed all
probably.
their. This is a team that got rid of everybody at the trade deadline too, like just
Yeah,
selling everything, and he's still shining. Yeah, there's like you said at the beginning, there's really no other choice to be made here. I think Blackwood really was the MVP, and nothing even came close.
I mean they were able to get a draft pick for Wayne Sims, so that's pretty valuable.
Yeah, somehow.
That's never gonna die.
Shout out to Wayne. That was pretty cool move. Um, but yeah, Blackwood. If he even had a competent team in front of him, I think the team would have been a lot different.
Yeah, yeah.
Moving on here to the New York Islanders. Um, who was your pick?
I went with Brock Nelson this season.
Oh,
He led the team in goals. He had 26 goals, second in points with 54, and he's second in time on ice per game for forwards. Now,
hmm
what made me take him over someone like Matthew Barzal was that Brock Nelson plays in every single situation. That
hmm
he's like fourth in time on ice shorthanded, fifth in time on ice power play, seventh in time on ice at even strength. So he's used all over in every situation, and he contributed quite a bit to the success on the special teams for the Islanders this season, and that's kind of what set him apart from me and why I think he went. He is the Isles MVP this season.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned my pick there, Matt Barzal, team leader in points. 68 games played, 19 goals, 41 assists for 60 points, 12 power play points. honestly, I picked him because obviously the point totals, but he got a 2-minute jump in average ice time per game this season. So last year he was at 17:55, and this season he went to 20:03. So a
It
pretty
was a pretty good
significant
rebound year for him
leap.
too.
Yeah, and um, Trotz is a coach that I'm familiar with, having coached the Caps. And I know he doesn't just throw players ice time for no reason. A lot of Caps fans would criticize him for not playing younger players. And I think that Barzal's leap forward in ice time shows that Trotz is more confident in him and willing to put him out there more. And
Which is, yeah, it's a good sign for a younger player,
yeah, um,
getting more confidence and extra
mhm.
ice time.
Yeah, and he's paying off. He's almost at a point per game. Definitely driving the offense of that team. Definitely getting a lot of offensive zone starts. He's at about 58% of zone starts, even strength. So I can see your argument for Brock Nelson of kind of playing both sides of the rink and also playing the um, penalty kill, which is something that Barzell doesn't usually do.
No,
Um,
he had like a minute or something of penalty kill time this season.
yeah. So, um, pretty good. There's still some things you can develop, like giveaways. He had like 100 plus. So,
Yeah. Well,
he
with certain
is,
players like Barzell too, like giveaways are they're not great to see that many, but they're also like he's a guy that plays with a puck on his stick a lot. So he's
yeah, they're
going to
probably
just,
mostly
I
offensive zone
yeah.
giveaways, trying to make a pass, trying to force a pass or something like that. But I think he's just very instrumental for them in their offense. So that's why I picked him. But it was tough. It was a tough choice. Kind of like how you said Columbus is, you wanted to pick Columbus.
Yeah, right.
The
It's the
Islanders
team.
are almost the same way, right? There's a lot of players that have similar point totals, so it makes it tough to choose just one.
Yeah.
Um, the other New York team, though, I think
I
was a lot easier of a decision.
yeah, I again, like this is the other team that it's like there is only one pick. Anybody else, there's nobody else on this team who really MVP nod.
Yeah, so for the Rangers, it's got to be the bread man. First season there, lived up to the hype. He popped
Legitimate heart
off.
contender.
Yeah, 69 games played, 32 goals, a whopping 63 assists for 95 points,
Yeah, so that's
plus
career highs in all offensive categories.
plus 36, 1.38 points per game.
Yeah.
God damn,
And I mean, his
Artemi.
line mates, his most frequent line mates were Ryan Strome and Jesper Fast. Like they're not awful, but they're not exactly first line forward caliber.
No.
And I mean, Ryan Strome ended up with a 59-point season, spending or the most time with Panarin.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of took advantage of some injuries
Yeah,
earlier in the season and they just developed some chemistry and just, if it's
stuck
not
with it.
broke, don't fix it, right? Like,
Exactly.
um, even when Zibanejad came back and was just lighting it up, um, don't have to change it just because you can. Paid off. Panarin also got 24 power play points,
Yeah,
four game-winning goals.
I think an impressive part about Panarin is how much of his scoring was at even strength. I think he led the league in even strength scoring.
Yeah, that's a lot of points.
Yeah,
So I
look
don't
at
don't doubt it. Um,
60 or 71 even strength points. I think if I can do the math in my head.
he also had a lot of ice time per game, 20, 36 average per game.
Yeah. It's
So he's
telling
out there
that Panarin and
long.
Zibanejad didn't play on the same line very often, but both of them had 20 minutes of ice time per game.
Yeah, yeah, they're out there for power plays probably like most of the game,
Yeah.
or most of the power play rather. Um, yeah, they both. I think Zibanejad had two hat tricks. Panarin had one. Um, they're just a lot different of a team. Like they've kind of changed their identity, the Rangers, I feel. They've they've kind of got that star power now. They've got a lot of young players, some exciting offensive D-man. They've got Fox. They've got D'Angelo. Kind of a different team than they used to be. They never. I mean, what was the last like big star Ranger?
Trying to think back, but it honestly they haven't had the type of star power since the lockout, since the salary cap came in, because they used to just get every single free agent
Oh,
of
yeah, like
any.
Rick Nash,
Yeah, well,
Marian
even
Gaborik.
yeah, like they were. I mean, I guess Nash did have that one really good season in New York, but I think they picked up a lot of guys kind of on the downswing of their careers.
Yeah, you got like guys like Ryan Callahan, guys like that, McDonough. A lot of guys,
Yeah,
basically the Lightning, you know,
yeah, ex Tampa Bay Lightning.
Shattenkirk, just all the Lightning players. But like that big star Ranger has been missing for a while, and Breadman is their guy. He's definitely their man. So yeah, I think he's got a real shot at getting the Hart.
Absolutely.
S-
And I think
One other stat that plays well in his favor is, again, with the point share stat, that he was fourth in the league.
with 11.4 point share. And he was behind only like Connor Hellebuck and Draisaitl and Pasternak, I think.
Yeah, he had an insane season. Um, Unless you have any other thoughts on the Rangers, we can move along here to the Flyers.
Let's move on to the Flyers.
I had Ivan Provorov for my
Okay.
pick. Kind of went off the board a little bit. Um, when I was doing the research, I was expecting to go with Giroux,
Same here, actually.
but
I was expecting a pick like that.
when I dove into it a bit, I really thought Provorov was it. It's not something goofy like Gritty or something kind of more meaningful like Oscar Lindblom, but Provorov was kind of the heart and soul of that team, in my opinion. 13 goals, 23 assists, 36 points, plus 11, 16 power play points, three game-winning goals, one of which was an overtime game winner in spectacular fashion. I remember him having like a really insanely high points total in the first couple months, and just thinking he was going to break out as a offensive D-man, and then he really kind of tapered off, and his point total kind of looked like a more normal. But he played 24.51 per game on average, which was first in the team.
Which is
Played,
very impressive for a 23-year-old defenseman,
yeah, he's
because
just
they don't usually
solid.
get that type of trust, that type of confidence from a coach, especially a coach like a coaching staff that has like Alain Vigneault and Mike Yeo. Like these are like old school
Michel
coaches.
Therrien, yeah.
Yeah, these like old school tough coaches that I feel like are more the you got to earn your ice time. So for him to be leading the team in ice time by that significant of an amount, because second on the team appears to be Niskanen at 21.54.
Who is that, veteran guy?
Yeah,
Um, yeah, Provorov also is second on the team in power play time per game, first of which is Giroux, and it's a bit of a drop after Provorov. Um, and then he's also first on the team in average time on the PK per game. Um, so he plays 3 minutes and 2 seconds per game on the power play and 2 minutes and 44 seconds on the PK per game. So he's out there all the time. So like you were saying about Brock Nelson, Provorov is that guy. He's out there all the time. Um,
yeah. Every situation is time for Provorov. Like
yeah,
it's
so
yeah,
very
it's
versatile, dependable guy. So that's why I picked him. I'm curious to see who you picked.
um. So I did go with a goofy pick because I want to say Gritty, because I think he's a valued presence on and off the ice, and
Yeah.
I've got some stats here. When
Ooh.
he was accused of punching a kid in the back, the Flyers actually seemed to rally around their teammate here, and he was kind of the catalyst for that hot finish to the season. So before the punch, or before the allegations broke out, the Flyers were 27, 17, and 6, so they had a 600 points percentage. After the alleged punch, or after the allegations of the punch, pardon me, they were 14, 4, and 1 with a 763 points percentage. So this all broke out,
Win for
and
Gritty.
all the stories, and like, look, they rallied around Gritty, and look, they finished the season amazing. Like, I think whatever happened, they rallied around Gritty there, and he was the MVP.
That's a good pick. I support that. I feel like the Flyers are always a team that has some funny reason to rally behind, like some weird reason. Like a few years ago when they were struggling, they had like that 10-game winning streak or losing streak or whatever.
Yeah,
And then someone asked like Jake Voracek, like, how did you guys bounce back? So, well, we went out for some beers and really talked about what we wanted to do as a team, and then they had, a good run. So, yeah,
Where it's
they're
just like
definitely
that
that
type of
team.
like plain answer, just like deadpan.
Well, they're just Philadelphia's team,
Yeah,
really. Like they suit that city so well. And Gritty is just the personification. As we've talked about before, he just is the perfect
absolutely.
representation of that city. It's great.
um, but on a slightly more serious note, I want to give extra props to Sean Couturier. Like I think this
Yep.
is his year. This is kind of his breakout year all over the place. Like second on the
Hmm.
team in points, 59 points. He's a Selke favorite. He's the time on ice leader for forwards. He has an amazing faceoff percentage. He's won 59.7% of his faceoffs. That is
Wow.
that's like unheard of. Usually, your 55 is good.
So I think special shout out to him for that season, and he's probably the actual MVP on the ice, in my opinion.
Yep. Similarly, you could say the same for Travis Konechny. Definitely a bit of a breakout year for him. He's the team leader in points. Impressive for him for sure. Yeah, they were scary down the stretch. I thought they were going to pass the Caps and take first in the Metro. So I guess good news for the Capitals that the season ended. I don't know.
Thanks, COVID.
Yeah. Um, any other thoughts for the Philly before we move on to the other Pennsylvania team?
No, I think that's time for Pittsburgh. So this one honestly was kind of hard for me because so many players missed significant amount of time that they had such roster turnover and such turmoil on the ice that there wasn't a whole lot of like single player standout. So I ended up kind of looking at it and realizing, okay, Crosby missed a fair amount of time, and so did this guy. But Evgeny Malkin kind of had a bounce back season, and as he usually does when Crosby's out, he ends up kind of taking over the lead on the team. So he
Hmm.
ended up with 74 points in 55 games, and he kind of put the team on his back in like a major injury plagued season for the Pens, and a bit of, like I said, a bounce back year for him.
I also picked Malkin. One of the standout things for me was so 74 points in 55 games plus seven. And last season, you had the whole Phil Kessel drama. Trade him or I won't play, allegedly, is what Malkin said. Last year, Malkin finished minus 25 and 72 points in 68 games. So, again, not the full season, but
That's
you know,
I mean, that's close enough between the 2 years.
a few more games, and less points. So, he kind of put his money where his mouth is, as far as I can do a lot better than that. I don't need Phil Kessel. I don't even need Crosby, and and just got a lot of points.
Yeah,
The only other choice that I had really for the Penguins was Tristan Jerry.
that was my
So
other choice as
similar
well.
to my Merzlikins pick. Jerry is a little bit different. Jerry um, was insane. Matt Murray just had like a shit stretch, and Jerry came in and was unreal. Um, 20 wins, 921 save percentage, 2.43 goals against, three
Yeah,
shutouts. So
those are very good numbers.
yeah,
And I
so he
mean,
came in, looked
the
really great. There's a question mark as to Murray, but he kind of bounced back at the end of the year. But again, I think they're going to be in that situation just like Columbus of who we play in playoffs, and it'll be interesting to see if that happens to Matt Murray because he did that to Marc-Andre
yeah,
Fleury.
I was just thinking
Um,
about that. Like, this isn't even the first time that Murray's been a part of one of these, because he kind of came in at the same, like you said, to Flurry. So now it's time for Jari to come and do the same to Murray, possibly.
yeah, and it begs the question, does every Pittsburgh Penguin goalie have to have their last name end in Y to be good? Because you've had Fleury, Murray, Jerry. Like,
Yeah, and I mean,
how many
who
more of
is
these
the
guys
other
can they
one that
take?
Pittsburgh had here? Because Pittsburgh had another goalie who was kind of in a similar situation to Jari
Before they came up, and Jari was the one that was successful, obviously. So obviously the Y must be a factor.
Yeah, I know. It's the Y factor, not the X factor.
Pittsburgh's
Um,
Y factor.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think Malkin still gets it. He had a really great year, and like you said, he always seems to play unreal when Crosby's not in the lineup. Um, I guess he just does well with that pressure.
Yeah,
Um,
well, he gets his time. Like he doesn't. It gives him the chance to be the guy.
yeah, yeah, I think he really shines in that situation.
Absolutely.
Um, any other Penguins you wanted to shout out?
No, you grabbed my other pick because I was stuck between Malkin and Jari, but I just didn't think Jari played enough games to be the full MVP. So I think that
Yeah,
that's where I was at with
yeah.
Pittsburgh.
The difference for me between the Columbus and the Penguins is that Columbus didn't have that standout skater.
No, they didn't. They, like I said, they were very by committee.
Yeah,
None of their skaters were like very blatantly insanely good. They were all good, but none of them were like standout like Malkin would have been.
yeah. I guess we should shout out like the just list of rookies coming up for the Penguins stepping in and playing significant time for them. Um, like John Marino, kind of D-man that came out of nowhere. I know he had a really good year. Um,
Marcus Pedersen. I don't think he's a rookie, but Pedersen's really good on
yeah,
their blue line as well.
yeah, younger guy. Yeah, the Penguins are always. I mean, there's that tweet that's really funny of like, you know, well, the Penguins could score or Penguins could win a game and have like a stat line of like Malkin from, Jablonski and Blom or something, and you would totally believe it.
Oh, absolutely. Because I mean, like half the time we don't even know who the wingers are on those two lines. It's just whoever can put on their equipment fastest gets to play with them that night.
Yeah, pretty much. So we'll move on here to the Washington Capitals. My pick here is not Alex Ovechkin, which seems like a major faux pas, but it is John Carlson.
I agree, 100%.
69 games played, 15 goals, 60 assists, 75 points, which is amazing as a defenseman.
Those are historic numbers offensively from a defenseman. Like he was rivaling, he was touching up on like Ray Bork's records early in the season on pace and how many points you have in a certain month and all that.
Yeah, it's a shame that we didn't get a full season just because of this. And Ovechkin getting another 50, plus 12, 1.09 points per game. So a point per game D-man. That's you gotta love that. You gotta give
Yeah,
it up to that. 26 power play points, 24 assists on the power play. Those are probably mostly bombs from the point that gets tipped or feeding Ovechkin a one-timer.
yeah,
So,
that's probably accurate.
um, but still impressive.
Yeah,
24-38 minutes of ice time on average per game. First on the team by over 2 minutes. First on team in blocks with 108. And something that actually surprised me is that he's about 50-50 even strength offensive defensive zone starts. I would have thought he would have been more offensive, but looks to be about 50-50. So yeah, career high in points and assists. So just an unreal season for him.
yeah. I mean, I've got written down here like John Carlson was the best player on a team with Alex Ovechkin. That what he did this season
Yeah.
was so outstanding from his position that there's no way he's not. I mean, he's the likely Norris winner. So
Yes.
does an offensive season like that from a defenseman, and like he's not the best defensively, but his offense is good enough to make up for the defense. That he can be an
Yep.
average defenseman because he's so good offensively. The one knock I have against him this season, and Ovi gets the edge on this, is that Carlson has a 0% faceoff percentage.
Ah.
He's 0 for 1, but Alex Ovechkin is 1 for 1 and 0. So
Oh wow.
yeah, so
Gotta
Ovechkin
step it
gets the
up.
nod in faceoffs here. So Carlson's got to step it up, like you said.
Wow.
On that
What a
note,
scrub.
do you happen to recall when Carlson took a faceoff?
Uh, No.
Okay. I saw that in the stat line. I'm kind of like, when would Carlson have taken a face-off? And I just found it kind of funny.
I do not know when he would have taken a draw. Yeah, that is really weird. I don't know. I would assume it was when someone got kicked out and he went to take it because he had the right hand.
I
Uh,
guess if handedness, yeah, they wanted someone of certain handedness to take it.
Still kind of a weird move. But yeah, I mean, he had an outstanding year. He's he's really secured his spot on that power play. Just it gives the power play just two bombs at the point, and I think it's scary for other teams. So um, I think I think part of it too is that he always looks like he's super intoxicated on the ice. So maybe people underestimate his abilities a little bit. Um, so great year for him. I just wanted to point out too that a lot of these MVPs were on our podcast fantasy team. Um,
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
you're right.
you picked Dougie Hamilton. I picked Ivan Provorov. Um,
We got
I
Carlson,
we got
Blackwood.
Carlson. We picked up Blackwood because I saw Schneider go down. I was like, oh, we should pick up this Blackwood kid. He's gonna get a lot of goals
Yeah,
against, and there's gonna get a lot of shots on him.
exactly.
Um, so it was a good year for us. We had a lot of MVPs on our team.
Yeah,
Made
made
me
it
think
good.
about who would be our MVP on our fantasy team. John Carlson.
Probably.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I mean, it was like I said, um, some of these were pretty easy to pick. Breadman. I think out of these, he's definitely the favorite for the league MVP.
Absolutely.
Um, Carlson, Norris, um, and then Blackwood and
Yeah,
Merzlikins,
Blackwood's like kind of
probably
the long
Minor,
shot for the Calder.
Calder. Yeah.
We
Any
get a
other?
lot of those like fourth or fifth place votes where it's like we want to recognize what you did, but it's not quite enough to get the trophy.
Yeah, it's like a pity vote. Yeah. Any other comments about the Metro Division MVP races here?
No, I think that about wraps things up for this time on Clappercast. So if you enjoy what you're hearing, make sure to spread the word around with your family and friends and subscribe or follow our podcast. Who were your Metro Division MVPs? Let us know on social media. You can follow us on Instagram at Clappercast Media or on Twitter or Facebook at Clappercast. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll be back next time with more hockey talk.